I am Sir Howard the Coward, and we're back to discussing more Helldivers 2. The things that I would like to see, and I think would really help them keep that longevity into the future of making a even better game than what they already have. Like I've said, do I hate the game? No. Do I like the game? Yes and no to both, really. But I think we have a big future with this game, and I'm just trying to say I think these things will help it. Everybody else is going to tell me I'm wrong. Everybody's like, well, it already has all this great stuff. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I don't care. I'm telling you what's going to help it from my point of view because I really think I'm correct. This is a military style game. I have a background of military, and these are things that, as a military man myself, I enjoyed hearing. I like to hear. It has that weird sense in my brain now that's like, this feels like that. It sits on your shoulders. It sits in your brain. And that really just helps move this whole thing really along and make it more of a fun and realistic style game. And so, first of all, I've already talked about radio chatter, and the radio chatter is very simple. It's a huge thing, and it's funny because like people are like, well, it doesn't really need radio chatter, it doesn't really need this, but I'm just saying, like, you listen to this. Now that adds a whole different perspective to this game. You're like, obviously, this is more controlled. This is more of a realistic standard of what it would sound like. But now imagine it more of like just screams and yells of other people across the planet that you're on. It has the beeps. It has the clicks. It has the garbled sound of stormtroopers from Star Wars. It is a very cool visual. It's a very interesting system to have play. And very, very neat. Say you're in space and you're out on the Helldiver pad and you're trying to look around. You're like, well, where do we go? What do we do? And then you just hear stuff like this.
Listen, Tranquility Base here.
These are things that you would hear on the radio if you're in aviation, if you're in an infantry. You're going to hear these things. Obviously, some of the stuff I'm asking for is more for just the crazy comms of what other people might be saying. And what makes that hard is everybody does Discord chat. Everybody does their party chats because we all don't like talking to anybody anymore because gaming's become even more antisocial than it already was. But if you throw in this style of communications between ships, instead of just standing in a ship in a very quiet room, I feel like it would be a lot better. It adds a whole new element to you standing around. Obviously, you have the propaganda blaring, which is awesome, which then leads me into, obviously, the propaganda. The propaganda is awesome. Obviously, it comes from a Starship Troopers style area, and that's great. Everybody, anybody when I was a kid liked Starship Troopers if you saw it, right? Not everybody did see it, but for the most part, we all saw it, and we all enjoyed it. But when you kind of get to this point, it adds an element to the game. Like, obviously, you're not walking around the countryside. You're not walking on planet Earth. You're not discussing with the politicians. You're not seeing your wife and kids or whatever it is. So you're building like an elaborate story in your head. The propaganda adds that little story. And again, it's awesome because then you'll hear the typical stuff from it. The upbeat noise, the happy feeling.
We must understand the bug.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
It just adds a large element to the game. It's very interesting. It's very cool, which obviously we've seen. It already does have a large portion of that. But I'm saying it could have a bigger portion of that. Your little TV screen obviously shows a little, like, it's a work in progress. I'm not saying it all has to be done now, but I'm saying as you, the viewer, you, the player, have got to want this stuff. This whole, I got my money's worth, all this, well, I feel like it came like this, like, well, you're asking a lot. Like, I'm not, though. Like, if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to do it. And you're going to figure out ways to try to your best to make it happen. And, you can't, maybe, like, the game looks beautiful. Like, from what I'm told, Helldivers 1 was a top-down view game. I can't stand top-down view. But then they adapted it to reach a new audience. And this new audience is like, I like this. This is cool. I feel like I'm involved. It adds that three-dimensional texture to you. And not only that, but it looks beautiful. It's very well done. A horde style game is not going to last forever because of just how fun it is to kill the same thing 1,000 times over again. You can, just like that, like Pal Worlds and a few others, you can kind of sense that like we're easing off of it. We're kind of getting away from it because it's just, what do I have else to do? I will admit the propaganda of in real life is for this game is amazing. Like everybody wants to play this game. Everybody wants everybody to play this game, and it's kind of like, why is that? Well, and it helps that they did that fascist style game. I mean, you have the propaganda, which is more of a fascism style propaganda. Like, we're great. We want you to be great with us by making us better and dying for your beautiful country. And it's like, and it just really appeases to the people, and that's awesome. It's just, like I said, I think it'd be even better if they added a little more to it. They did some extra stuff, and just really at like the sound, like really audios and like the visuals are there. The visuals awesome. It's truly there. Like, do I have complaints of customization? Yep. Do I think they should add certain things to the ship for your personal person? Yes, I do. To make it feel like yours. And obviously people are like, well, it's not your ship, which I get. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, you come revolving in and there's a bunch of other hell divers. Why do I get to name it though? You know what I mean? And that's just kind of an odd thing to name your own ship and then to really do nothing with the ship. But I mean, still, it's the customizing. If you just do like some some color stuff on the armors, maybe make it so you have to actually earn some gear. Maybe you hell dive, you don't get touched, you don't get hurt, so you get a really cool gold, like a flat gold cape or something. That way, it says, "I did this. I'm awesome," and you earn that. It kind of goes back to that old school style of gaming where you actually had to earn the things you got, and it was awesome to have that because you got to kind of flex it on your friends. Be like, well, look what I have, and you don't. You know, I actually spent time in the game, and I spent a lot of my effort to do this, and it was kind of something to show for it. Besides just a small challenge on the Steam, it's like, well, I don't really care about that, but I think that would help a lot. And like I said, the visuals, the audios, having the audio in there would really help. The audio now with the rockets, the gunships, all that is awesome. But you add that radio chatter, it weirdly makes things so much more intense because you could be in a firefight to the death and you're on the edge of your seat and you just hear this like, yeah, roger that. Just simple, cool, calm, collected of somebody else talking. And you're just like, well, I'm panicking. It adds a different element to the game. It's very interesting. It's a cool concept. I know when I flew the UH-60 Blackhawk, I hated having to listen to 4 radios at a time and then to try to make a radio call. But at the same time, it was awesome because you got to be that guy making that radio call, and that's an awesome thing. And I think that would be even cooler to get to kind of visualize this or see this or hear this really in the game while you're in a firefight, while you're walking around, while you're sitting in your ship, whatever it may be. It adds a different element, and it's very neat. I am Sir Howard the Coward. I appreciate you tuning in and watching this. Please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment what you think, what you might want to add. A lot of people just want to kind of argue with what I have to say. I'm not usually wrong on what would make a game great. I'm not wrong on that. Now, do I miss things? Yes. Do I handle it a certain way? Yeah, I do, because I'm correct on what I'm saying. And that's why these people should listen to what I'm trying to tell you people. So again, like, subscribe, comment what you believe, what you think should be in there. If you want to argue with me, go ahead. You're just going to look silly. And share the content. And I will see you next time.